We know from our own relationships that being sensitive to details and respectful of boundaries is essential to closeness and connection, whether that's putting the toilet seat down or remembering to call on a parent's birthday or not interrupting another person or being aware of our spouse's mood and what they might need before we put forth our own needs. We have a shocking story in this week's Torah portion of Nadav and Avihu, the high priest Aaron's sons. These men were leaders of their generation, people of great power, which the tradition says that Moses thought that they were even greater than him. They came into the holy sanctuary and brought incense to offer God that was not ordained to be offered. One tradition says that they had such love and desire to be close to God that their unordained offering was motivated by desire to give above and beyond what was expected. And what happened? A huge fire came forth from God and consumed them, and they died. This might seem outrageous and unfair. They crossed a boundary. They didn't respect the details of the offerings, but their motives were coming from a good place. But we know from our own lives that our choices and our actions bind us in relationship deeper with those we love than our motives. When we take the time and consideration to realize what's important to us and act accordingly, we feel seen, respected, and more connected to those who reach out. When our 5-year-old child gives us a Lego figure for our birthday, it's cute because we recognize the love behind it, and we are aware that in their developmental reality, they think that everyone would like a Lego Luke Skywalker. But when our father gives us an obscure stamp collection for our birthday that we can care less about because he finds it fascinating, once more, we don't feel seen or known. And why was Nadav and Avihu not sensitive to what God wanted? The tradition says that even though they were great men and leaders, they were arrogant. They thought they were too good for any of the Israelite women and thought that they were a better fit to lead than Moses and Aaron. They had a great vision for relationship with God, but they were so full of themselves, they thought that they could define that relationship. And we're guilty of the same thing. We think that we know what's better for the people we love than they do. We unknowingly cross other people's boundaries with our vision for the relationship and leave them feeling unseen and sometimes disrespected. And our motives were good. How do we remedy this tendency in ourselves? The Torah provides the solution following this episode with Nadav and Avihu. It lays out all the prescriptions for kashrut, sacred eating. And the reason for all of these rules around food, lahavdil ben hakodesh uvein hachol, to distinguish, to discriminate between holy and profane. Our relationship to food, like our relationship to people and to God, requires the sensitivity to boundaries, to be able to distinguish and identify details and differences and make choices accordingly. If we disregard the details and boundaries in our tradition and our relationship with God, our relationship with our tradition and spirit will be affected. Likewise, if we dismiss the details and boundaries of our friends and families because we don't deem them important, then our relationships will be affected.